Banter Podcast with Colin Geddis.
Rolling. What the fuck's happening, people? Welcome to the General Banter Podcast. It's Tuesday the 1st of September. Where does the time... Like, the lockdown has been the longest and shortest time ever. It's now September. Are you going back to school? It's only 10 days from 9/11. Rest in peace. You know what I mean? Where does the time go? The podcast, the same as the last couple of weeks, is sponsored by CBD Flow. I'll mention that up top. CBD oil, produced by a wonderful company here in Northern Ireland. They're friends of the show. Lovely guys. They decided to put this together. Initially, to give the dogs, I believe. Is that true? They were going to give it to dogs, their own dogs. That, you know, they weren't walking down the street squirting it on people's dogs. But initially, that's what it was for. But it's also for human consumption. In fact, it's probably mainly for human consumption. CBD oil, you know the crack. Everyone should be throwing that in their coffee every day. You know, you wake up, people take Baraccas every day, shit like that, multivitamins. Throw some CBD oil in the mix. It helps with your inflammation. You know, it helps with your anxiety, your depression. It doesn't fix it, but it just lubes the machine on your way to full health. If you're in any sort of pain, if you train a lot, it's good to take that instead of taking numerous painkillers, for example. You can take one of these. It works in the background. It's all good. CBD Flow. Check them out. The links in the descriptions, etc. As far as other plugs, I was going to plug some gigs in the Limelight, but sure, didn't they all sell out? Didn't they all fucking sell out? Niall has a microphone this week. Say something just to test it.
Yes, it's working.
Oh, he talked right at it. See, that's professional sound, man. Yeah, all the gigs sold out. Late shows and early shows, 3rd, 4th, 5th, they're all away. And the next, 48 hours for me will be spent furiously writing material and shitting frequently. Because that'll be that's so me. That's so me to just go, I haven't done stand-up in 3, 4, 5 months. Let me ease myself back in by doing 6 sold-out shows in a giant venue. Listen, some people aren't built for greatness. This guy is. You know? Oh, I'm too scared. I think I'll do it with some fuck off. Let me in. And I only cut it off at 3 out of politeness. Sorry, Niall, to look at you, but you're the only person here. Out of politeness, we could have been 3rd, 4th, 5th, right through to fucking next St. Paddy's Day. You know, maybe have a beer after that, chill out a bit. Pfft, Jesus Christ. But yeah, if you're going to the show, by the way, it was. I mentioned this last week. It was back and forth. What? It was back and forward, on, off. Who knew what the fuck was happening? Kept getting calls from the promoters. It's on, it's off. After we talked last week, we're like, oh, it's going ahead. And then we got another call. Oh, it's fucked. And then it's back on. And then it's fucked again because all these different people are trying to shut it down. But now it's back on because all the measures have been taken. It's going to be safety as a motherfucker. Put a mask on, Just fucking put a mask. Do you know what I mean? If everyone's like, oh, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Oh, it's the government trying to control you. Oh, whatever. Just for a bit of precaution, for the sake of a night out, just be like, listen, I'll stick it on the fuck, sure, I'll play along, and I'll go in here, not to mention the fact that, if anyone's sneezing all over the place and it goes in your eye, you're still fucked. But you know what I mean? Keep the mask on. Just we're playing dress up for a minute. You want to enjoy a night out? Stick a mask on. It's all good. Go in there, get your temperature taken. Basically just sit there and laugh and get some free pizza. They've had to dish out some free pizza to tick another box to make sure the bar's not an idle wet bar. So yeah, it's going to be great. Support on the evening will come from Jordan Robinson, aka the Tin Man, aka just got a new heart put in. So if he doesn't drop dead on stage, I'd be fucking amazed. And also the one and only Aaron McCann, and we'll see if he doesn't drop dead on stage, because I was texting him and he said he was at a gig there recently and he did a bit that he was acting out and he shouted too loudly and he expelled too much air and he said he got lightheaded and his leg spasmed and he nearly fainted. And I said, hold on a second, are you telling me for a second or two your head was light? I don't fucking think so, you giant-headed bastard. Anyway, he's supporting. I don't like to say supporting, you know what I mean? We're featuring some lads, and basically by that I mean some of my mates are coming along to do a bit of stand-up because, you know, we're allocated 90 minutes for the show time, and let me tell you something, Dave Chappelle doesn't have 90 minutes at the minute. He doesn't. If you went to see Dave Chappelle, he'd be like, I only got 16 minutes. Word. You know, so you'll get on a hot, you know, when we're firing all cylinders, you'll get 40 to 45. You'll get 30 to 45. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean? The week was weird. Mainly, Maureen had family over, so it mainly consisted of me just taking care of the baby alone, which is a lot of it. You know, it's not like, oh, it's all stress and everything. Sometimes it's just the other person goes and has fun with their family, and then you just wait at home watching a baby monitor. And that's it. That's been my weekend. Apart from me and Al shot a bit of the old Blender documentary, which will be out in 2029. I tell you, do you know what? No wonder people are just going the way of like TikToks and stuff, because, you know, even from back in the day when I used to make videos, I was like, I can do everything on this one camera, no microphone. You know what I mean? I'll zoom with my feet, as they say. You know, and if God forbid I need to shoot something from a distance, you know, I'll just dub the voice in later or some bullshit. And then the more and more equipment got involved, and then, you know, you maybe have cameramen and whatever. And we were a small operation the other day, small, but even I was still like, this is fucking way too much. Fuck this shit. You were like, let me blow. By the way, the Doctor Who TARDIS thing doesn't really look like a TARDIS. It's actually the boot of a Golf. Because the amount of shit come out of your car. Oh, we'll bring this in. There's a fucking light here that is enormous. And then fucking tripods and everything. And then you were like, oh, well, get some haze in here. And then straight out of a fucking school disco comes this smoke machine. Which, by the way, they've made, you can just, do you reckon there's a guy on set now? There's vapes. Oh, yeah. Just, who's this guy with the pink dreadlocks? Oh, yeah, his name's Zed or something. He just vapes on set to give it a bit of haze. So that's what happens. You get a camera that's so good quality. You're like, right, we now need to shit in the light in here. So here's a fucking smoke machine. So, you know, we all near died in a mobile home. But again, too much for me. I was like, thank God you're setting that up, because I'd have give up a long time ago. Worth it. Totally worth it. For a load of fucking talking heads. But that's going to be sweet. You know, I've made another little set. I've had to you know, obviously you look at the old Blender videos, it was all shot in the garage. We have upgraded the garage ever so slightly, but it's still got that old school feel. Ordered a punch bag. Put the punch bag up, threw one punch at it, nearly blew my rotator cuff out. Thought, this is why I'm not an athlete. I'm only kidding. I'm an athlete. So we did that. It was great fun. You know, a couple of visits to the doctors, couple of Vicks steamers, clear the lungs out, and we're all good. All good, man. I'm the worst guy to work with. If I shot a feature film, you know the way they are as that they do. Imagine I directed Game of Thrones. It'd be like, okay, action, and like a load of horses would go by, and I go, that's all you really need, isn't it? Isn't that it? Oh no, we'll do it multiple times. Nah, fuck it. There's something real arty about just one shot. You know, someone fucks up dialogue, and I'll be like, well, I can work around that. They get half a sentence and then cut away to a dragon. That hurt me. And then just cut back to the conversation. And then the guy goes, what? And then he says it again. And that's your 2 takes. That's all you need. These dickheads doing 14-hour days. I don't think so. Everything can be done in post, including the main shots. I just turn up, you set up the camera, and I'll be like, see everything on this script? We'll do it in post. Do you not want to shoot it now? What's the point? It's still fucking eat out to help out. Now that you've set up, let's go for avocado on toast, for fuck's sakes. Anyway, we've 2 podcasts to do today. This is going to be 45 minutes long. And if you want more podcasts, get over on the fucking Patreon. It's the 1st of September today. Quite the surge in numbers this morning. Don't know why. A lot of people fucking decided this is the month. Let me get on the fucking Patreon. We might adopt the system of... sometimes I do podcasts on the Patreon and they're great. And I'm sort of thinking, right, I know I want to do special things for the Patreon people, but this would also be a good general release. So what I might do is, if I'm recording straight after this with Weston from the band Hunk Papa, whose music I've used and stolen in many different small productions. If there's any good shots out of him, I'll release a preview on all the platforms. And then if you like what you hear, sign up to the Patreon. And you'll open the doorway to many other fucking podcasts that we've done in the past. It also doubles up as an OnlyFans. So once in a while, I will post a picture of my gaping anus. Gaping's weird because what's attractive about that? You know, it's a big old section in the porn sites. Big into gaping, and I just don't understand. I don't understand how, you know, dudes would be like, oh yeah, it's so tight, but then her asshole, man. You could flip a pancake in there. There's a lot of room in the asshole. So, oh man, so tight, but then the asshole doubles up as carry-on luggage. You could literally smuggle things in there. It's incredible. Speaking of porn, who was it broke the internet there? What's her name? What do you call her? Some fucking... What do you call her? Girl went on OnlyFans there and broke it.
Oh, Bella Thorne.
Bella Thorne. Knew you would know it, you fucking... Bella Thorne, American quote-unquote actress. All right then. What's she been in? Fuck all. Yeah, I mean, another tragic case of, you know, there's not much acting work going on, and we get to the bare bones of it. At the end of the day, the only reason you were in any film at all is because probably people wanted to feed you pipe. And now we're down to it. Now we're down to brass tacks. You know, she's just like, yeah, let me just fall back. Let me fall back in the old bread and butter here. And that's the nicknames for both of my tits. And she's on OnlyFans with the tits out. Even though she's one of those people, you know, like, I've got both tits pierced and I wear basically, you know, a vest made out of Kleenex. And you might as well just fucking see all my tits anyway. So there you go. But I wonder, has she got an Oscar? Bella Thorne in the Bella OnlyFans controversy explained. I don't want to know. Do you know what I mean? Let me speculate. Do you think she's hot? No? Well, I mean, obviously she's hot. But like... Dirty. You dirty boss. I mean, I just love when dudes are like judging girls, even though you'd probably fucking knob 97% of all females if you're a straight guy. You know, if we're getting down to brass tacks. Is she hot? Not really. Would you ride her? Certainly. Every time, without wake me up out of a coma, and I'll ride her. But yeah, I think she might be one of those people where she's nearly more annoying. No, we're not turning into one of those gossip things. Let's not turn into people. But you know what I mean. Once the work dries up, the tits come out. Doesn't work for anyone else. Doesn't work for me. You know, the old comedy dried up. I had to start doing this bullshit twice a week. You know what I'm saying? This dried up, I'd be like, well, probably just fucking get a regular job now. I'm not going to be like, well, sad to see this day come, but I'm going to have to go on OnlyFans. Throwing up links on Twitter. Hey guys, wondering if you could help me out. Do you want to chuck me some money and I'll show you my penis? I've said on numerous occasions, my dick might be the best bit. If I've said I just try to do stand up, I would thrive at a glory hole. You know, you pop your dick through there, people be like, "Oh yes, who's on the other side of this?" And it's just me like that. My dick pressed up against the fucking the side of a cubicle. Although very picky for an ugly cunt, you know what I mean? I'd be like, "Who's on the other side? Have you brushed your teeth?" I'd be more worried about what mouth my dick was going into than she would be, or he. You know what I mean? You're at a truck stop, you never know who's on the other fucking side. Buy my new book, Thrives at a Glory Hole. I actually got sent a photo this morning, and it was a screenshot of a WhatsApp chat between a guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not coming to training tonight because I was riding this girl and took like 3 Viagra and I broke my dick." And then there's a picture of the guy's dick, and I think, yeah, it looks like an American football. We settled on that. The guy's dick is blown out. But you know what? Honestly, like if it stayed like that and he wasn't in a lot of pain, a lot of people would be into that. You know what I mean? They'd be like, "Oh my God, he's got a dick like a fucking Gilbert rugby ball. Get it inside me." It would look a bit strange, you know, just in a pair of tracksuit bottoms, like, but sure, what can you do, man? Anyway, Bella Thorne is on OnlyFans. I wonder, I'm not going to read into it now, but I don't think the history of OnlyFans was porn based. I think you could do other stuff on it. I might ditch Patreon and be like, "Guys, move over to OnlyFans," because you're bound to get a few creeps. They'll be like, "Oh, I'll sign up to OnlyFans," and then they turn up and they're just let down. They're let down big style because it's just me sitting here talking about fucking guys who've, you know, done something horrible to their cocks. Anyway, we'll move on, shall we? Sad news there in the last few days. Our boy fucking Black Panther dead, bro. Very sad. Chadwick Boseman. And it's funny because it's funny when someone dies, because all of a sudden everyone has mad appreciation for all the shit they did. And I'll be fully honest, if I seen a picture of that guy, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, what's he from?" And someone would go Black Panther and I'd be like, "Oh yeah." But seemingly he did a lot of great work, a lot of movies. Seemed like a fucking sound guy. And the biggest lesson to take away from that is the guy just ploughed forward with full-blown bowel cancer or something. Like, how many movies did he film and he was sick as fuck? God, I appreciate that. The guy was probably like, "Listen, I don't want people bringing this up in interviews, me talking about it all fucking day. Let me just plough forward, do the work, try and be fucking..." I mean, he literally is probably like a fucking icon now after playing the Black Panther thing. I haven't seen it. I'll be honest with you. Have you seen Black Panther now? No, I mean, I put it on and I was like, this is not what I expected. Because I was expecting pretty much Batman, but with a guy dressed like a panther. And it wasn't. It was all very mystical and otherworldly, and fucking everyone's chanting, and it's kind of like Africa, but it's weird. And I went, not for me.
I'm sold.
Not for me. Bye-bye. Turned it off. And then we walked in one day, and one of Maureen's sisters was watching like the end of Endgame or something, where they all just fucking join up. And I was like, what is this, Black Avengers? I was like, what the fuck is this? And everything was going on. And they're like, "Oh, you gotta watch the other ones for this to make sense." And I was like, really? I don't think so. But anyway, shout out to fucking that guy. Killing it. Even though he was sick. And then, you know, I've seen this thing. So somebody posted a picture of him, like obviously doing like a Zoom call or something. He was very skinny, and someone put up a photo of Black Panther and then him in his sick state. And they were like, "Oh, when lockdown turns you from Black Panther in the Crack Panther." Now, terrible crack, but also hilarious, the best crack of all time. But don't be like, this was the point. They were like, don't comment on someone's looks or weight, because you don't know what they're going through. For all I know, he could have been losing weight for a part, you know, but he wasn't. He was actually sick. But that's all people care about these days. Doesn't matter what you do, as long as you keep fluctuating in weight, they'll talk about that. You know, it's always you can do whatever you want, and someone will still be, yeah, but you know, fat cunt or something. Oh yeah, they've lost loads of weight because they got AIDS. You know, Adele tried to lose weight, and everybody was just like, you shouldn't be losing weight. You're making everybody who's too fucking lazy to lose weight feel bad, Adele. We're over here trying to be all body positive and convince people that we're happy when we're fat cunts and just constantly sweat under our tits, and you're over there actually losing weight? How fucking dare you? You're letting the side down. And by side I mean, who knows what the side is when you have a body like mine? Is it the side, is it the back, is it the top, is it the bottom? But anyway, she put up some photo, and everybody kicked off because we went through the weight loss thing. You know, everybody was like, you can't bring it up and all, you know, it's none of your business what Adele looks like and she's lost weight or for what reason or whatever. So they changed the angle on it basically. She put up a photo and she said, happy what would be Notting Hill Carnival, my beloved London. And she's got a fucking Jamaican bra thing on. And she's got her hair like tied up in little knots. And the angle changed then. Everybody was like, it's cultural appropriation. Because you're wearing because you're white and you're wearing like a fucking Jamaican thing. And you're like, come on. Now, Adele hasn't put out a song in fucking 2 decades. But people are like just trying to find shit wrong with her. And what I want to say is, the only thing that really matters now is she would get rid. At the end of the day, you know, culturally appropriate, lose weight, gain weight, would get rid. And that's all it boils down to. These girls, before you wouldn't have got rid. She would have got rid before. Who gives a fuck? You wouldn't have got rid, and now you would get rid, and I don't like you, and now you're stealing from black culture. Even though all your mates look like they're black there, and it looks like you're just having a bit of fun, and you probably grew up in an area that was, you know, very diverse, and the Notting Hill Carnival was a big part of your life, and you're joining in with, you know what I mean? It's like Paddy's Day. It's like you're fucking your mate from somewhere else putting on a fucking like one of those big leprechaun hats. You're hardly gonna be like, you're stealing our culture. Every time someone sets a fucking dog shit bin on fire, you're stealing our fucking you know, I bet you there's some fucking like, you know, one of these mad loyalist types is like, I seen in Lurgan there, the Republicans were throwing petrol bombs at the police. You're stealing our culture. That's cultural appropriation. We have a patent on the old petrol bomb. You know that? Cultural appropriate. Everything is different cultures. You know what I mean? You can't just fuck. What have you to do? Research your family history and then be like, well, here's a list of foods I'm allowed to eat. Here's a list of clothes I'm allowed to wear. Fuck's sake, like, Adele will get red, man. You know? I remember seeing her Glastonbury set and she was doing like songs, and then in between she was trying to have banter, and you're like, Adele, sing. Shut up and sing. You sound like Mickey Flanagan in between bits. All right, fucking, hello. Just sing. And even now, you know, you were sort of overweight, would still get rid. Just sing. You lose some weight, just fucking put out an album. Oh, I'm over here dressed like I'm in Cool Runnings. Put out an album still. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, everyone's like, our hair's tied up and like we dog shits. That's a black thing. And then someone put up a fucking photo of Gwen Stefani, you know? And they're like, she had it done years ago. I didn't hear you fucking giving off to her, you know, when shit was bananas back then. And then Gwen Stefani did the whole fucking... Here's the thing. It's only cultural appropriation when you're stealing from black culture, isn't it? Because Gwen Stefani was running around being like, oh, hello, I am from Tokyo. Meine Mutter gun is the funny. And everyone was like, I love this. I love this. What do you call them? Fucking Hiroshima girls? What was she dressed up as? What was it? Anyway, at the end of the day, Adele looking well. It is true. You'd have read her regard anytime. Even when she was wearing the moo-moos. You know what I mean? Listen. I mean, that is like... That's where men and women differ, isn't it? You know, like, there'd be some, like, ugly fucking dude singing. Like a Lewis Capaldi. You know what I mean? The guy looks like the Tato Man walked off the bag. And people are like, he's good crack, would still ride him. Because he's probably worth a fucking mint. Here, Lewis, get on the podcast, for fuck's sake. Yeah, it doesn't work the other way around. You know what I mean? There's no fucking dudes being like, wouldn't you buck Lizzo just because she's fucking loaded and probably get you on a yacht at some point? Suck your dick like this. For fuck's sake. Anyway, anytime someone brings up that cultural appropriation, you're like, it's so... When people get offended at comedy, when people do jokes, it's old. You know what I mean? It's pick a new tune. When people are like, that's cultural appropriation, of course it is, because all fucking cultures affect fucking everything. By the way, some woman was on like Loose Women or something, and she goes, you know, no one pulls up black women when they wear fucking straight blonde wigs. You know, when you get like a fucking Cardi B over there with pulling her wap out all over the place, you know what I mean, ruining the furniture. No one's like, is that natural straight blonde hair? You know what I'm saying? No one seems to have a problem the other way around. What would you steal from white culture? iPhones. Anyway, we'll move on. How long have we been recording there?
About half an hour.
I'm telling you, you're getting 45 minutes today, and that's fucking it. 45 hard and fast. Like Adele would get it. There was more fucking killings in America. There was some dude. I mean, people. This is the new thing with the internet. Some horrendous thing caught on film, and then people go, "What's the backstory?" They always do that, don't they? I understand that he basically got slowly suffocated, and you saw the life leave his body over a period of 7 minutes. But hey, what's the backstory? I know a guy was just walking to his car there and the police just fucking opened up on his back. What's the backstory though? Because I want to make sure that it was definitely unjustified. Because who knows, man? There's some bad pups out there deserve to get shot in the back 7 times walking to their fucking place. What's the backstory? I saw a video, you know, there was a guy snuck up on another guy. Guy's walking by himself, crossing like a zebra crossing. Guy runs up on him with a brick and just fucking bashes him around the head with it, and the guy passes out on the floor. One of the comments, what's the backstory? They were playing brick tag. What the fuck do you think? What's the backstory here?
Well, we did some research, and it turns out that the guy fucking... Just before I react to this, let me know why a person would deserve to get their head caved in with a brick from behind. Guys. Which would for sure kill you. But yeah, there was a video of a guy... Again, no one knows what the crack was. People were like, the guy had a knife. The guy was going to the car to get a gun. There was some sort of domestic dispute, and the guy went to the car. And he reached in the car and he wouldn't comply or listen to the police or whatever, and they just fucking shot him in the back, and then that kicked off another sort of wave, even though it happens, you know, on the hour in fucking America, but kicked off another wave of sort of protests and stuff like that. A lot of NBA players and stuff were boycott. In fact, a lot of them, they called a lot of games off. Because, you know, big LeBron James was like, I've had enough of this shit. You know, these black dudes getting fucking murked for no reason. And fair play. But then on the back of that, there was some riots, and there was a lot of these local militias who were like, basically, you know, fucking a bunch of fucking fat losers with guns which they can own legally are like, yeah, we're going into town to like guard these shops against looters and rioters. And I read a thing online, and they were like, it was just maybe like a comment or something, and they were like, you know, these guys that form these militias to like protect the town, he's like, no one gives that much of a shit about a fucking TK Maxx or something, was their example. It's like, if you're going in the town in a fucking militia, you're going in there to kill someone, or at least got your fingers crossed that some shit's gonna start, and you get to fucking just let off some rounds legally and be like, listen bro, it was self-defense. And then sure, this fucking 17-year-old is like out with this militia, and they're like, oh, he was obsessed with the police, he always wanted to be in the police, blah blah blah. This Kyle Rittenhouse guy. And I don't know what the fuck happened, but maybe he shot something, and a bunch of bystanders were trying to run after him and sort of like kick the gun out of the way or whatever. And I burped in the microphone. They're disgusting. Who did he allege? What do you mean? Oh, this is another thing cracks me up. Everything is blah blah blah. Allegedly shot at protesters, bro. The video doesn't even look real. Like, cameras are so good nowadays. You see a thing and you're like, this is fake. You know, the camera's too good, but it was probably just a fucking iPhone 11 with a wee bit of stabilizer in it. Oh, he allegedly shot. Well, one of them's allegedly not alive anymore, so you fucking allegedly tell me. So he falls on his back and they're all trying to kick the gun away, and he just shoots one guy, dead. Shoots at another one, that goes through his arm or something, and then of course you watch the video and, you know, some other bystander with a camera runs up to this guy and his arm is just fucking lasagna. It just like went up like this, and it's just open wound because it's a fucking AR-15 and it's not really meant to leave much left behind it. But anyway, there's another video where he shoots like this, gets up and he's like, oh, self-defense and all this shit, and he runs towards like about fucking 8 meat wagons coming towards him with his hands in the air. And the cops are like, is there people injured down there? And he's like, fucking there is now. And they just drive past him. And the guy's got a full automatic machine gun. And they're like, is there any blacks down there doing any damage, sir? You fucking 17-year-old wee cunt. Hey, 17-year-old with a machine gun. Is there any disturbances down there? Yeah, they're being bad pups down there. No sweat. And they all head past them. And the guy's trying to get the attention. Covered in fucking bits of brain matter. And he's like, can someone arrest me or something? They're like, nah, it's alright, kid. Is there people starting shit down there? Drives past them like. I bet you there's fucking... What's a white guy got to do to get shot round here? Imagine you were like suicidal and you're like, I'm gonna fucking go on a tear, like that movie fucking what's it called, falling down. I'm just gonna go on a rip, fuck it, I've had enough, I'm gonna start killing people. And you're in America and you're white, you would die of old age before the cops would shoot you. Hey, I'm covered in blood with an automatic rifle. And the guy's like, you hunting, man? We're just on our way to some sort of homicide here. Were you doing a bit of hunting, shooting a deer? Nah, I just shot fucking 8 black dudes in a church. No, you didn't, you fucking man. You shot it, you were hunting, man, weren't you? Anyway, take her easy, I'll see you in a bit. You're like, will someone fucking shoot me around here? You know, you walk in somewhere, some supermarket, and just riddle people. And the cops turn up and they're like, I guess you were trying to shoot the bad guy, were you? You 16-year-old white fucking virgin incel weirdo? Were you trying to shoot the bad black guy that was in the supermarket? No, I shot all these people. Don't be silly, man. You know better than that. You fucking key stage 3 white bastard. It's fucking unbelievable, like. What they should have done is just fucking riddle that guy because he had a machine gun. Or you're running down the street with a machine gun with your hand. Yeah, guess what? You die as well. 17 or not. And as usual, just 17-year-old fucking... Just someone give this guy a hand job so he doesn't kill any more people. For fuck's sake. Unbelievable. I watched... Did
just leading on from that, I watched a bloody documentary there. It was Piers Morgan, Psychopath, which I thought was a documentary about him being a psychopath, but it was actually him interviewing, like, you know, this guy who fucking, when he was 13, killed his sister, who was like a baby. And he's been in jail for, like, you know, fucking 12 years or something. He's a young man in jail, and he's just a complete psychopath. And it's funny because, you know, people throw around the word psychopath, me included, and then you actually see one, and you go, oh, I get it now. It's a person who just, like, you know, feels nothing else apart from, like, humiliation or rage, and it just makes them angry, and then they just kill, but then they feel absolutely nothing about the violence or the killing. You know what I mean? This guy stabbed the fucking, like, 3-year-old like 17 times, and then rang the fucking ambulance, and they were like, okay, you need to do CPR. And they're like, okay. And he goes, count along with me. You put your hands in our chest and all. 1, 2. And this cunt was just fucking had his feet up in the living room, just going, 1, 2. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing much. 3, 4. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of people do that when they work in call centers. Can you check that for me? Yep. And then they just go, yeah, it doesn't work. That was him. 1, 2. Yeah. Let me tell you something, bro. I stabbed her 17 times. This is just squirting more blood out of her. And then another sort of test, because they've got these, like, forensic people in the other room, these psychologists, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, did you love your sister? And like, the guy doesn't even know what love is, so he's basically just like, listen, we could sit here all day talking about things that I may or may not love. And the woman next door is like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. This guy has no fucking point of reference for any feeling of love. And I was sitting with, you know, my wife at the time, and I was like, listen, you can say you love fucking 100 things at a different level. You know what I mean? I love crisps. I love my wife. I love my child. I love handjobs on the beach. I love long wanks on the beach. You know what I mean? I love fucking Game of Thrones. Like, you love a whole pile of things. This guy was just like, well, listen, we could the age-old question, what is love? Do I love my family? Do I not? It's hard to know. Do I love my mother? Who am I to ever... The guy's just, like, flailing. I just don't know. I don't know feelings, I'm afraid. So, and they're like, do you read in prison? And he goes, yeah, mainly horror. And the forensic scientist is like, yeah, do you know what he's doing? He's like backing himself up by going like, oh, I'm not the only cunt thinks like a fucking murderer. You know, there's people writing fiction over here that are also into some fucked up shit. And he goes, this is where I feel warm and cozy. Do you love your mother? Well, listen, man. Who am I to fucking make that call? You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, that sent me down a fucking wormhole of just watching Piers Morgan talk to these fucking lunatics. He talked to this other serial killer, and the guy was just like, they were like, oh yeah, back in the 70s, we used to be able to just hitchhike everywhere. So this guy was, I mean, it was literally like a buffet of murder. He would just drive along. Hey, where are you going? And she's like, I'm just going into town. He's like, are you by fuck? You're going in the fucking hole in the ground. And then he would just drive them out and choke them. And Piers Morgan was like, you know, is there any sort of anger towards women? And the guy's like, no, it was completely sexual. And then he goes, he was talking about sexual programming, or was that the term? Sexual imprinting, which is like, just as you're maturing sexually, things that you notice or you're into or whatever. That's why people try and justify, like, what do you call that shit? Fetishes. You know, they'll be like, oh, maybe when you were like learning to crack boners when you were like fucking 11, 12, whatever, you know, when you saw your teacher like sitting at the desk marking papers and she kicked her flip-flop off, and now the next minute, you know, you're 25 trying to bang someone and you've both their feet stuffed in your mouth. You know what I mean? It's the fucking swings and roundabouts. But basically he was saying, yeah, whenever I was, you know, maturing sexually, he was playing a game of like, what do they call it, witch hunt or something. He said you know, one of the girls in the wee group of friends was the witch, and she ran and hid and everyone chased her and whatever, and he caught her. He's like, you're a bad witch or whatever. And then he like fucking choked her. And then he was just like, and ever since that's really what, you know, got my balls all squirty.
I is the only thing I could think about for years was choking women to death. So be careful around your fucking, your kids, your male kids, when they're starting to go like 10, 11, 12, 13. You know what I mean? You don't want to be fucking like exposing them to anything weird around that time, or else they'll just be like, listen, that's the only thing. I mean, it won't happen to kids nowadays. Maybe this Kyle Rittenhouse guy was like, listen man, when I was cracking boners, it was just Call of Duty all day, and the only thing gets my dick hard is when I shoot people. You gotta, or they were just fucking into Pokemon Go or something like that. And you grow up and you're just like, trying to ride your first girlfriend, and your dick's all soft, and they're like, is it me? Am I stinking? The guy's like, listen, could you just fucking paint yourself yellow for a second? Pretend you're Pikachu, and I'll roll these balls towards you. Listen, I can't fucking ejaculate unless that is on in the background. Just be into regular shit. You know what I mean? People are all into fetishes, isn't it? Do you know what my fetish is? Fat tits, man. Fat tits and big holes. That's the name of the podcast. We're getting down to brass tacks. Fat tits and big holes. Let's hit the questions, for fuck's sake, for the love of Christ. That must be 45 minutes now, is it? We'll crack through these questions. Wim Hof it out. Thoughts on the flight from where everyone has had to isolate 8 passengers bro. Thoughts on the flight from where everyone on has it isolate as 8 passengers test positive. Listen, man, I think what you're trying to say is thoughts on a flight from somewhere where everyone has to... Listen, that's the nightmare, isn't it? That's the nightmare of getting on a fucking... Well, I'll tell you why. Because the fucking lockdown was lifted and everyone was just like, I'm going to fucking Croatia. You must be able to go to Italy for about £7 now because every cunt's there. Oh, let me get a caprese salad, or what do we call that shit? I've been sent some video links here. Let me watch this one. Let me see this volume. Okay, that's insane. I don't know what that is. It looks like a kite, and a kid has grabbed the end of it and is just flying all around the place. No thanks. That's a very visual one. Let me see all these questions. These are very quick, weird questions. Are you watching Tour de France? What the fuck do you think? No. You've seen one bike on a road, you've seen them all. Wait till they fucking make another documentary about fucking doping, and then I'll watch it. No. What are they doing it on this year? Fucking an assault bike in a glass tank somewhere. What's your opinion on the Bella Thorne? Oh, we talked about that. Did you get a new swag watch? If so, how much? Because I'm going to get a nice one for my wedding, and I don't want it to be flashy, and that looks the ticket. The one I'm wearing in that is a Seiko 5 like sports watch, and it's gold, and I bought it for the crack because it looks so bad. It looks like a fucking... I sell carpets somewhere. It's a good watch. Seiko is where you want to... Seiko is where you want to hang out there, because I mean, like £200 will get you a fucking lethal watch. Like if you could go to $350 on a Seiko watch, banging, you'll have it for life. Which, in fact, that company alone almost ruin anyone to get a fucking high-end watch. That's one there. You know what I mean? You'd be looking at that, and then some cunt pulls out a fucking Omega, and you're like, I'll just take this one. Thanks. See, you're starting to... This is very watch-based. What's your favourite watch you have, and what one will you get next? I do like this one. The Seiko Samurai. Pretty hardcore. The next one I'm going to get is probably going to be a Glycine Airman, which was like a very popular watch during the old Vietnam War.
and it has got many numbers on it, and it's absolutely pointless for telling the time. You know, you need to be actually flying a fucking jet somewhere for it to make sense, but it looks cool. First time I've ever subbed to a Patreon, and I've been really enjoying them. I don't make you... it doesn't make you feel dirty like an OnlyFans sub would. Okay. What do you think about wee Stevie getting a matching tattoo? Is he your stalker superfan? Wee Stevie downstairs with the same fucking tattoo as me. Apart from it's about an eighth of the size, which is sad. Well, I'll be honest, I don't really give a shit. I copied the design off something else, like, so. Actually, no, I didn't, actually. Jamie Donnelly just put up drawings one day, and I went, keep that for me. Shout out to Jamie Donnelly. How many podcasts have you done now? It must be around the 500 mark. I have no idea. I'm terrible at that. You know what I mean? People love keeping track of things, and they're like, oh, for the fucking whatever 500th episode, we're gonna do this, or it's the, you know, we've done this for this long, or we're coming up on 2 years. Like, see if someone said to me, how long are you doing stand up? I barely know. It might be 9, 10, or 11 years. Can't remember. People will be like, you know, when did that first thing go up? No idea. How long has Lavery's Comedy Club been going? No idea. 4 years, 8 years, I have no idea. I don't know how many podcasts I have. Yeah, I hate that, because I know what I would do. I'd be like, oh, the 500th one's coming up, let's celebrate, and then it would just be just a regular Tuesday, and I would be trying to make it exciting, and you book a guest and they drop out. You know what I mean? It would just be, I don't know what, I must look into it. Wait a minute. I'll actually tell you right now. Look into it. I'll just look it up. Let's see. Let's see, you bastard. Nope. Any other crack lads, or 435 episodes? Oh dear. So I wonder if he worked out how many more to get to 500. What do we do for 500? Get Joe Rogan on? Listen, Joe, we're fucking I mean, 500 episodes coming up here, like, you know, we're touching. I mean, there is millions of listens. You know, I was joking there, but if you go on Spotify or SoundCloud, there's millions of downloads. Why am I not sponsored by Nike? Nike, give me a fucking break, man. What else have we got? Have we got a final question here before we move on? Like a motherfucker. If all media you operate on ceased to exist, including the ability to perform stand-up again, what would your job be? Bro, what would everyone's fucking job be? If there was no internet? You know, you'd work for the government, and that's what they'd want. And then they'd pay you fucking peanuts, and then before you know it, you'd be fucking collecting bags of grass like you're in North Korea, which I've seen happen. You know, our fucking glorious leader and all that shit, and doesn't even feed people, cunts are eating grass. Which is why you have an appendix, by the way. Apparently the appendix was like a hangover from back in the day when you used to eat grass and leaves and shit. Which is why if you have your appendix out, you can't eat lettuce. I made that up. But you'd be fucked if you're in North Korea. In fact, if you were in North Korea and your appendix ruptured, they'd just fucking let you die. They're like, bro, there's loads of yous. What would I do? I don't fucking know. Probably something that just involved heavy things being lifted. I feel like I'm well cut out for that. I would go. It'd be OnlyFans based, I think. But again, that's on a platform that you need to use online. I don't know. Something just real. What's real rewarding? I would just work with fucking, I don't know, old people or kids or something. You know what I mean? Something makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. I mean, it's. I was gonna say maybe like work for a charity or something. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what I would do. I would get really into business and get really into investment banking and, you know, all those sort of dodgy things and just become a full blown Epstein. You know what I mean? Get my own island. I'd probably bang slightly older women. you know, due to the spec of woman that I'm into. That you're just not going to get from a 12-year-old. Now, this is another prime example of just quit while you're ahead with the questions. You know what I mean? I should have just went, what will we do for a 500th one? And then the next question, I'm basically saying, if I wasn't doing podcasts, I would be Epstein. Right. We'll see you next week anyway, guys. Thanks for listening. Get on the Patreon for extra shit. And at the end of the day, Adele would get pipe. Am I right, guys? That's the name of the podcast. Adele would get pipe. Right, we're going to get out of here. We're recording another podcast straight after. Cheers for listening, guys. Check out the description for the CBD Flow. The Flow CBD. And that's all. That's all till we see you next week, guys. We're going to have some shows in the bank come Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we'll tell the tales of that next week. Cheers for listening, guys. See you in a bit.